Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good to be here, good to see you all. Now, when you all came here today, there was one item, probably the most valuable thing you own, that you could not leave the house without. As a matter of fact, you don't go anywhere without it. Spoiler alert, it's not your phone. And since you live in Dubai, it's not going to be your keys because you don't even need to lock your house, do you? In fact, I would say that 99% of you don't even realize you're carrying it. You smuggled it in past security, through those doors, and right there into your seat. It's weightless, it's invisible, but it's absolutely packed. I'm talking about your invisible toolkit, this grab bag of skills, scars, quirks, and instincts that you've collected from the day you first tried a crayon on the living room wall. It holds your curiosities, your sense of humor, your negotiation skills, your ability to spot a lie within a split second, and that weird micro talent you picked up binge watching YouTube tutorials at 2 a.m. And we sling this bag over our shoulder every morning without ever really cracking it open to look inside. And that's a shame. It's a real pity, in fact, because the moment you do and you really take a look inside, two life-changing things happen. Firstly, it gets lighter. Being self-aware of the tools you're equipped with every day enables you to stop lugging around the tools that you don't need and start sharpening the ones that you do. And secondly, you get louder. This same self-awareness leads to a much more authentic version of yourself. And authenticity turns up the volume on who you really are, pulling the right people, opportunities, and connections towards you. Psychologist Albert Bandura calls this the self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is applied to those who aim high, who stay stubborn when pressure spikes, and they improvise through creativity. In fact, a study was conducted in 114 workplaces, and it found that those who score high in self-efficacy performed 38% better on average. That is self-awareness, and that is knowing your toolkit. And what comes next is the ability to use these tools to craft a narrative, to tell a story, to paint a picture, to get what you want in any room, in front of any audience, under any spotlight, and at the click of a finger. See, if there was a title next to my name card, it would probably say entrepreneur, since I've started multiple companies and helped the world's biggest brands generate billions of dollars in revenue using AI. But I prefer builder, tinkerer, iterator, vibe curator, designer. As a matter of fact, if you went to my Instagram profile, you'd see just two words, Mr. AI. And of course, some people might say, how dare he call himself Mr. AI? Who does he think he is? He didn't invent AI. He's not Sam Altman. And you know what? I would agree with you. I would. But see, I know that in my toolkit, there's a special little pouch that I keep tucked inside with countless years of sales and psychology experience. And what I've learned is that how you package and present yourself is just as important as what you do. Now, this is my toolkit. And in my toolkit, that is confidence. That is design. That is positioning. And that is thousands of hours of selling. But what I want you to think about today is what's inside your toolkit. What are you made of? What kind of junk just sitting there in your toolkit that needs to be thrown out? And what are those incredible skill sets, those unique insights and experiences that are laying there at the bottom of your toolkit? And if we were to just bring those up to the top and polish them, could they reveal the greatest version of yourself? Now, in a moment, we're going to unzip this invisible toolkit together. But I just want to take a second and shift perspective. See, building this toolkit isn't something that just happens when you become an adult. In fact, I see it manifesting every day in my 3 children. Let's take my 8-year-old daughter, Sienna, for example. She doesn't know it yet, but in her toolkit, she's a master negotiator, a creative storyteller with a passion for directing Bollywood movie remakes from the 90s, a proper old soul. And if she's not writing a screenplay in her bedroom at lights out, she's casting for all the roles in her school playground. And she comes to me and she tells me that she's got a 6-year-old lighting assistant, a library teacher turned camera operator, a set designer she met at Legoland, and her mum doing both the makeup artistry and feeding all the cast and crew at the same time. And I say to her, Sienna, where do I fit into all of this? What do I do? She said, Dad, if you want, you can direct it with me. I said, yeah, of course, I'd love to, but I'm going to need 50% of the back end, title credits, full script reviews, a front row seat at the Oscars, and a cameo. She says 40%. I counter back with 45% and an extra hour at bedtime. And then we pinky promise on it. She's going to be a big deal. See, I remember what it was like being Sienna's age. And I remember what it was like having a mother who encouraged me to follow my curiosities and creativity. In fact, following my creativity and curiosity was probably one of the most important things that my mom did for us. And I didn't know it then, but all along, she was helping me fill my invisible toolkit. She allowed us to wander into our ideas. She allowed us to ask silly questions. In fact, she encouraged it. And if she didn't know the answer to those questions, she drove us to the library so we could answer them ourselves and find the answer. But I think that the most important thing that my mom did is that she allowed us to make mistakes. In fact, she encouraged us to make mistakes. And my toolkit is filled with mistakes. Filled with mistakes. But every single mistake was that all-important key I needed to unlock the door to the next pathway. In fact, before I was 16, I had started my own clothing brand. I'd opened an Amazon marketplace. I sold secondhand video games to friends at school. I entered 3 writing competitions. I'd even stood as a candidate in the local youth elections and finished a scholarship in film school. And of course, you might look at that and call me a failure, since I never became a politician or a filmmaker or a fashion designer. But the way I see it, every single attempt and at-bat sharpened the creativity tool in my toolkit. And society would call that a failure. But for me, every single moment was a moment of preparation. And we've all heard that famous phrase, haven't we? That luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Well, this, my friends, is how you prepare. By taking shots, by throwing yourself into the deep end, by challenging yourself, following your curiosities, inviting feedback, and storing it all in this invisible toolkit. Now, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. In fact, my wife is here in the audience, and I haven't even done this with her, so this is going to be special. For the first time ever, I'm going to open my toolkit in front of you guys here today. And I'm going to invite you to do the same. So shall we? Yes? Okay. So we're going to unclip this toolkit. I'm going to place it out right in front of us. I don't see any hands moving. Let me put it back. We're going to unclip the toolkit. I see some hands now. I'm going to place it out in front of us. This is for you, not for me. Place it in your lap and open that toolkit. What's the first thing that you see? I'll tell you what I see. I see a main compartment, and inside that main compartment, I see a leather wrap, slightly rough around the edges, a little bit worn, but still holding strong. And as I unroll that leather wrap, I see all the skills and tools I use on a day-to-day basis. My design skills, my creativity, my love for coding, my negotiation skills, and many more. What do you see in your main compartment? Can you identify a specific tool that you might have used today? And then over here, just on the outside, we have that compartment I mentioned earlier on, this special little compartment that holds all of those real-life experiences interacting with others, whether that's in a meeting, at home with my children, or an off-the-cuff chat with a stranger. See, every interaction, every genuine interaction that we have is an opportunity to learn about ourselves as much as it is about the person in front of us. Did I pay attention? Or was I drifting off mid-convo? Did I make eye contact? Do I even remember their name? And then there's this tool right over here. I keep it handy in this pocket. It's actually my favorite tool. This tool right here is my curiosity compass. It encourages me, just like my mum did when I was a child, to follow my curiosities wherever they may take me. Sometimes it leads to a big, bold new idea that puts food on the table for my family. And sometimes it just leads to a simple Google search and nothing more. But I know that every time I use this curiosity compass, I step into the unknown a little more. And I know that that is where the best ideas are born. Let me put that back. And then here, inside, right here, we all have this. We have this zip compartment that just jams and doesn't quite open. And we all know why. It doesn't open, and we don't bother trying to open it or looking inside because we know what's in there. Honest feedback. The stuff that we swear we'll look at tomorrow. Those honest, uncomfortable conversations that make us kind of clench tight as if the words are physically coming at us. But see, what if I told you that this compartment right here, the one that you're trying to avoid, is where all of your growth lies? See, this toolkit is all you will ever need. There's no car that you can buy that will fit in there or steer you in the right direction. There's no amount of money that will make it feel full or buy you an authentic connection. It's just a bag of your best self, and it's your job to maintain it and take care of it. And this metaphor yields results beyond ourselves alone. This is something that you can use in your companies too. I'm often invited into boardrooms where some of the greatest minds are trying to solve very meaningful problems. And when I walk in, I don't have a pitch deck or slides. I don't have a pen or a notebook. I invite an open-minded, all chips on the table discussion. And we call this blue sky thinking. And what you'll find is the more open, authentic, honest, and vulnerable the people at the table are willing to be, the greater the outcome of that think tank. And see, all of you came in here today with this valuable toolkit. It holds everything you need that makes you uniquely you. I take my invisible toolkit every single place I go. It's helped me in my 10-year marriage to become a better husband. It guides me to find new discoveries and new business ideas when I feel lost, confused, or demotivated. It helps me build a connection with my children every day. I'm using it right now to build a connection with all of you. See, now that I've shown you this invisible toolkit, and as invisible as it is, you cannot unsee it. You will take this toolkit home with you today. With your phone and your keys, if you if you brought them. And you'll do me just one favor. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, I want you to spend just 3 minutes and take a look inside your toolkit and try and find one tool that you might use today. Maybe find that curiosity compass that your younger self once used and loved using. Maybe it doesn't get used as much anymore. Maybe find those rusty tools at the bottom of the bag that you've forgotten about but make you who you are. Maybe even brave that jammed zip compartment that has all that honest feedback that we're too afraid to look at. But we know that once we do, that's where all of our growth lies. And you'll remember that the next time someone asks you what you brought with you today, you will know exactly what to say. Everything I need. Thank you.